Video is on seed technology terminologies. We'll see one by one terminologies. First one is A-line. The male sterile parent in a cross being made to produce hybrid seed, that is a male sterile line. Cytoplasmic male sterile seed parent used in making commercial hybrid. B-line. It's a fertile counterpart or component of A-line. B-line does not have fertility restoring gene and is used as male parent to maintain A-line. So here A is female line and B is male line. A into B line produces A line. The B line is fertile and can be reproduced by self-fertilization. That is maintainer of A line. The third one is R line, restorer line, an inbred line that when crossed to A line cause the resulting hybrid to be male fertile and produces pollen. Abnormal seedlings. Those seedlings which do not show capacity for continued development into normal plants when grown in good quality soil and under favorable conditions of water supply, temperature and light. Admixture. Something added to seed other than the kind or variety specified. Anther is an organ where pollen is produced. Anthesis is the process of dehiscence of anthers, the period of pollen distribution. Apomixis. It is reproduction from an unfertilized egg or from somatic cells associated with egg. Backcross. Cross of a hybrid to one of the parental type. Biotype. Population of individuals with identical genetic contribution. Biotype may be homozygous or heterozygous. Bolt. Formation of an elongated stem or seed stalk. In the case of biennial plants, this generally occurs during the second season of growth. Bolt is generally observed in case of Brassicaceae family, where we get the flowering in cabbage or cauliflower like that. Border rows. Recommended number of rows of the male parental lines grown on all sides of the hybrid seed field growing with two different parents. Breeder seed. Breeder seed is directly controlled by the originating or sponsoring breeding institute, firm or individual, and is the source of production of seeds of the certified classes. It has maximum genetic purity. The parent of breeder seed is nuclear seed. That is the most basic seed from where the breeder seed is obtained. Breeder's seed stock or stock seed. The seed harvested from a nucleus or breeder stock field is breeder's stock seed. Bulk or bulking. This is assembly of similar material from a collection into one or more bulks. Caryopsis. A fruit developed from a single carpel with pericarp united to seeds, the fruit or cereal and grasses. Central Seed Committee. The Central Seed Committee was constituted under the subsections 1 of Section 3 of Indian Seed Act 1966. The function is to advise the central government and state governments on matters arising out of the administration of Seed Act 1966 and to carry out the other functions assigned to it by or under the Seeds Act 1966. Central Seed Laboratory. This was established or declared as such under subsection 1 of Section 4 of Seeds Act 1966. Seed Testing Laboratory at IRA New Delhi has been notified as the Central Seed Testing Lab under the Act mentioned here. Certification is system of maintaining the quality of seeds. The crops offering for certification are raised as per requirements for seed certification established by a seed certification agency. Several inspections are made to ensure purity and quality of seeds. Certification Agency. The agency established under Seeds Section 8 or recognized under Section 18 of Seeds Act 1966. Its major function is to certify seeds of any notified kind of a variety. Certification Sample. Sample of seed drawn by a certification agency or by a duly authorized representative of a certification agency. Certification Tag means tag or label of the certification agency. With specified design, it constitutes certificate granted by the certification agency. Certified seed producer means person who grows or distributes certified seeds in accordance with the procedure and standards of the certification agency. Certified seed. Progeny of breeders select foundation or registered seed so handled as to maintain satisfactory genetic purity and identity. Production must be acceptable to a certification agency. Also refers to seed that fulfills all requirements for certification provided by Seeds Act and rules and to the container of which the certification tag is attached. Chaff or chaffy seed. Broken piece of dried seed capsules, stems, leaves and other debris mixed in with the seeds is chaff. Character. Identifiable hereditary properties such as color, leaf type, etc. Check. A row or plant of standard variety included in nursery or plot tests for comparison. Chromosomes. Small structures in the nucleus of a cell that carry the genes. They appear as thread or rod-shaped structure during metaphase. Each species has a characteristic number of chromosomes. Coleoptile, the first leaf above the cotyledon, which encloses the stem tip and other leaves or sheath, is coleoptile. Coleorhiza is sheath which surrounds the primary root in the embryo or grasses. Commercial hybrid refers to first generation or F1 of the hybrid planted for any purpose. Contaminants. Factors which affect the genetic and physical quality of seed like off-types, foreign pollen, other crop plants, weed plants, plants affected by designated diseases, weed seeds, etc. are referred to as contaminants. Cotyledon. First leaf of the embryo, one in monocotyledons, two or more in dicots. Cross-pollinate. To apply pollen of one flower to the stigma of another commonly refers to pollinating of the flowers of one plant by pollen from another plant. Cross-fertilize. To fertilize the ovule or ovules of one flower with the pollen from another flower commonly refers to fertilizing of flowers of one plant by pollen from another plant. Cross-fertilization. Union of an egg with a sperm from a plant of different clone. Cross-pollination. Transfer of pollen from an anther to the stigma in a flower on a different plant. Cytoplasm. Main contents of a cell in which the nucleus and other bodies are located. Cytoplasmic genetic male sterility. In this type, male sterility is depending upon the action of genes carried in the nucleus with a particular cytoplasm. Cytoplasmic male sterility is a type of male sterility conditioned by the cytoplasm rather than by nuclear genes and transmitted only through the female parent. It is controlled by the mitochondrial DNA. Damping off. Collapse of seedlings ascribed to the attacks of such fungal organisms as Botrytis vulgaris and Pythium species. Dead seeds. Seeds which at the end of test period are neither hard nor fresh and have not produced seedlings are classified as dead seeds. Decay. Breakdown of organic tissue usually associated with the presence of microorganisms. Degeneration. Progressive decrease in vigor of successive generation of plants, usually caused by unfavorable growing conditions of diseases. Desiccate. To dry thoroughly, to remove moisture from an object, to identify below the normal level. Designated diseases refers to diseases specified for certification of seeds and in whose regard certification standards must be met. Designated weeds refers to weed species specified for certification of seeds of a given kind and in whose regard certification standards must be met. Dioecious. It's a condition where staminate and pistillate flowers locate on different plants of the same species, example spinach, hops, hemp, date palm, papaya, pointed gourd, little gourd, asparagus, etc. Diploid, organism or cell with two sets of chromosomes. Diseased, showing the effect of the presence of disease, organism or abnormal physiological activity. Dominant trait, variation of a specific identifiable gene that results in absorbable traits. Double cross, first generation hybrid between two single crosses is double cross. Double top cross means first generation hybrid between an approved single cross and approved OPV or open pollinated variety. Ear, a large, dense or heavy spike or spike-like inflorescence. Emasculation, removal of stamens before they burst and shed their pollen. Embryo, rudimentary plant within the seed. Endosperm, tissue of seeds developing from fertilization of the polar nuclei of the ovule by a second male nucleus that nourishes the embryo. Epicotyle, growing point of the embryo which gives rise to shoot or the above ground parts of the plant. Epigeal, plant in which cotyledons appear above the surface of soil. Equilibrium moisture content, the moisture content of the product when it is in equilibrium with the surrounding atmosphere is equilibrium moisture content or hygroscopic equilibrium. Ergot, fungal disease of cereals and grasses which forms a sclerotium in place of a healthy grain, often poisonous to man and animals. F1 hybrid is the first generation offspring coming from mating of the two parents. F2 hybrid is generation produced by selfing the F1s, the second filial generation. Field inspection, an official inspection of seed fields conducted by the official of a certification agency or his authorized agent. Filament, tube that supports the anther where pollen is produced. First generation hybrid is same as F1 hybrid. Flower is a part of plant where reproduction takes place and seeds are produced. Foreign seeds or other seeds, seeds of weeds and crops other than the kind being tested. Foundation seed, the progeny of breeders select or foundation seed handled to maintain specific genetic purity and identity. Production must be acceptable to a certifying agency. It is primary source of seed of a genetically identified variety from which all further increase are made. Foundation stock, seed produced by a foundation stock seed grower in conformity with the regulation for producing such seed and improved as foundation stock seed by the certification agency. Fresh ungerminated seed, seeds other than hard seeds which remain firm and apparently viable even after the appropriate treatment for breaking the dormancy. Full sib, it's a term used in population improvement. A full sib family comprises progeny from a cross between two selected plants within the population. Fumigation, fumigation of seed lots by Self-Fertilize, EDB, etc. to kill storage insect pests. Storage structures must be leak proof for protective fumigation. Gene pool, Useful genes or gene complexes in a divergent population. Generation. One complete life cycle is generation. Generation begins with the formulation of zygote and end when resulting plant dies. Genetic purity. It is trueness to type. Varietal purity. Plant or seed conforming to characteristics of a variety as described by the breeder. Genetic shift. Change in the genetic makeup of varieties if grown over a long period in areas outside their adaptation. Genetic sterility. Type of male sterile conditioned by nuclear genes in contrast to cytoplasmic sterility. It may be transmitted by either male or female parent. Genotype. Hereditary makeup of an individual plant or animal which with the environment controls the individual's characters such as type of flower, bony structure or shape of leaf or color of hair. Germination. The resumption of growth by the embryo and development of a young plant from the seed. Germination in a laboratory test is the emergence and development from the seed embryo those essential structures which for the kind of seed being tested indicated the ability to develop into a normal plant under favorable conditions in the soil. Germinative means having the ability to grow and develop. Growing season is the period of the year during which crops grow and mature. Grow out test performed to determine the genuineness of seed as a species or variety or freedom from seed-borne disease or infection. Hard seeds. Seeds of Leguminosae and Malvaceae which remain hard at the end of prescribed test period because they have not absorbed water owing to an impermeable seed coat are classified as hard seeds. Hectare. Standard area measured in the metric system 10,000 square meters in area. Hereditary, that is transmittable from parents to offspring or progeny. Heritable is capable of being passed by inheritance. Heterogeneity refers to the variation in seed lot. Heterozygous is having unlike alleles at corresponding loci of homologous chromosomes. An organism may be heterozygous for one or several genes. Hilum. A scar left where the seed stalk of funicules breaks away or where the seed was attached directly to the placenta when there is no seed stalk. Homozygous. The breeding for a specific hereditary character. A plant that breeds true for a character such as flower color is called homozygous for this character. Plants may be true breeding for some character and not for the others. Hybrid. Variety resulting from natural or artificial pollination between genetically distinct parents. Commercially, the parents used to produce hybrids are usually inbred for specific character. Hybrid vigor. Increase in vigor over the parental type inhibited by hybrids. Hybridization. Crossing of one plant with another. Crossing between plants of the same species is called intraspecific hybridization and crossing between different species is interspecific hybridization. Hypocotyl. Part of the embryo or seedling below the cotyledon and above the roots. The transition region connected to stem and root is hypocotyl. Hypogeal. Plant in which the cotyledon remain below the surface of soil means the germinated seed will be inside the soil. The examples are most of the monocot seeds, whereas epigeal are most of the dicots. Imbibition. Absorption of moisture by a colloidal substance like seed coat which is accompanied by swelling of tissues. Immature seeds. Not fully developed, not having parts developed. Impermeable. It is impenetrable as when the seed coat allows no passage through the water or gases. Inbred line. An inbred line is a relatively true breeding strain resulting from at least 5 successive generations of controlled self-fertilization or of backcrossing to a recurrent parent with selection or its equivalent. Inbreeding depression. Loss of vigor because of inbreeding. Inbreeding is result of self-pollination or pollination between two close relatives. Increase. To multiply a quantity of seed by planting it, adding the plants that grows from it and harvesting the seeds they produce. Seeds resulting from this process is called an increase. Inert matter. It includes seeds and seed-like structures, namely pieces of broken or damaged seeds which are one half of the original seed or less, empty glumes, lemma, pellia, unattached sterile florets and florets with a caryopsis less than the minimum size. Prescribed and other matter, namely soil, sand, stones, chaff, stem, leaf, cone leaves, wings, pieces of bark, flower, nematode galls, fungal bodies, caryopsis of graminae replaced by insect larvae and all other matters, not seeds. Infected. Carrying a disease organism but not necessarily showing the symptom of disease. Infection. At the epidemiological level of pathosystem, infection refers to the contact made between host and parasite, hence autoinfection, alloinfection. At the histological level, infection refers to the process of penetration of a host by a pathogen. Inferior result. Result obtained in a subsequent test at another station of a second submitted sample from the same seed lot, which indicates lower quality than the first test. Example, a lower purity percentage, lower germination capacity, higher count of certain seeds, or a higher percentage of other seeds. Infest. To overrun the surface of plant or to be dispersed through soil or other substrate. Inflorescence. Flowering axis or other specialized flowering structure at a plant such as an umbel, raceme, spike, tassel and panicle. Inseparable other seeds or crop. Crop whose seeds are difficult to be separated once mixed with the main crop seed. International Seed Analysis Certificate. It's a form of certificate issued only by the International Seed Testing Association and used for reporting the results of tests. That is ISTA certification. Interpretation of germination. Seed shall be considered to have germinated when it has developed into a normal seedlings. Broken seedlings and weak, malformed and obviously abnormal seedlings shall not be considered to have germinated. Isolation distance. Distance to be maintained between the seed crops and contaminant. Isolation requirement. It refers to the isolation required for maintaining desired purity and health of a crop, such as minimum specified isolation required for seed certification. Lot. A lot is specified quantity of seed which is physically identifiable. Isolation. Separation of seeds fields from field of other varieties of the same crop. Same variety fields are not conforming to varietal purity requirements. Other related species fields and field affected by designated diseases to prevent genetic and disease contamination. Kind. Kind means one or more related species or subspecies of crop plants, each individually or collectively known as one common name, example wheat, paddy, etc. That is nothing but kind. Land requirements refers to the requirement as a preceding crop for seed certification. Lemma. Outer bract of the flower of grasses, sometimes referred to as flowering glume. Lesion. Wound, well marked but limited disease area is lesion. Line is a group of individuals from a common ancestry, a more narrowly defined group than a strain or variety. Maintenance line, as I have already told, that is nothing but B line. Male sterile described the complete or partial failure of a male plant to produce mature reproductive pollen cells. Mesocotyle. In some cotyledons, part of the seedling stem elongates below the shoot. Micropyle. Opening from outside the seed leading through the integuments to the nucellus, it marks the position of radicle. Moisture. Amount of water present in seeds. Moisture content of the sample is either loss in weight when it is dried or the quantity of water collected when it is distilled. It is expressed as a percentage of weight of the original sample. Monoecious, having stamens and pistils in different flowers of the same plant. Multiline variety. It consists of two or more near isogenic lines of normally self-fertilizing plants which are similar in most characteristics but differ in a limited number of desirable physiological, morphological or other essential or distinctive characteristics. Multiline is derived by growing the component lines separately, composting the lines of constituting the breeder class of seed. Nick. The two parents for producing hybrid seed are said to nick when they produce high yield of seeds of a highly productive and desired hybrids. Normal seedlings. The seedlings which show capacity for continued development into normal plants when grown in good quality seed and under favorable conditions of water supply, temperature and light. Notified kind or variety. In relation to any seed, this means any kind or variety thereof notified under Section 5 of Seed Act 1966. Noxious weed seed. Seeds from any plant of those species considered to be extremely destructive or harmful to agriculture. These species are designated by law for seed law enforcement. Nucleus seed is a group of progenies of individual plants taken at random from a variety for the purpose of purifying that variety of mixtures and offsprings. Objectionable weed. Weed plant whose seed is difficult to separate once mixed with the crop seed and which is poisonous or injurious or has something or smothering effect on the main crop. It is difficult to eradicate once established, has a high multiplication ratio, thus making its spread quick and serve as the alternate host for crop diseases and pests. Off type. Plant or seed deviating significantly from the characteristics of a variety as described by the breeder in any observable respect. Open pollination. Open pollinated seed is seed produced as a result of natural pollination as opposed to hybrid seed produced as a result of controlled pollination. Origin of seed is state or country where seed is grown. Other crop seed. Seeds of plants which are grown as crops other than main crop. Other seeds. Other seeds include seed and seed-like structures of any plant species other than the pure seed. Outcross. Cross usually natural to be a plant of a different genotype, mating of hybrid with a third parent, an off-type plant resulting from pollen of a different sort contaminating a seed field. Ovary. Female part of a flower that contains the ovules. Fertilized ovules develop into mature seeds. Ovule. The body within the ovary of a flower that becomes the seed after fertilization and development. Packaging. Process of filling, weighing and sewing bags. Palea. Tiny upper bract of which lemma encloses the flower in grasses. Pellets. Wood frame structure which are used to support a stack of bags to prevent them from touching the floor and absorbing moisture. Panicle. In a cereal crop, that portion of the plant that bears seeds. Pathogen. Any organism capable of causing disease in a particular host or range of hosts. It obtains its nutrients wholly or in part from another living organism. Perfect flower. Individual flowers that contain both stamens and pistil. Pericarp, that is a mature ovary wall. Phenotype, observed character of an individual without reference to its genetic nature. Individuals of a same phenotype appear alike but may not breed alike. Photochemical, pertaining to a chemical reaction activity by light. Photoreaction, a reaction that is initiated or hastened by light. Photothermal, that is pertaining the combined effect of light and temperature. Physiology of seed, the study of function and activity of seed. Phytotoxic, poisonous to plant. Pistil, seed bearing organ or flower. Plant breeder, person or organization actively engaged in the breeding and maintenance of varieties of plants. Planting ratio, a recommended ratio in which male and female parental lines are planted to make a crossing block in hybrid seed production. Plumule, major young buds of the embryo within a seed or seedlings from which will develop into aerial portions of the plant. It usually occurs at the tip of stalk-like structure called epicotyle, that part of the embryonic plant axis above the cotyledon. Pollen, equivalent of sperm in plants. Pollen grain fertilizes plant ovules. Pollen parent, parent that furnishes the pollen which fertilizes the ovule of other parent in the production of seeds. Pollen shredder, in hybrid seed production involving male sterility, the plants of B lines present in A line is pollen shredder. Pollination, the process of sexual fertilization in plants. The male chromosome contained in pollen are combined with the female chromosome contained in the ovules. Pollinator, line or population used as a male parent, that is donor. Polyploid, plant having other than the diploid number of chromosomes. Pre-emergence, that is before emergence, often refers to the treatment of soil with weed control chemicals after planting and before the crop plants appear above ground. Pre-treatment, any physical or chemical laboratory treatment of the working sample that is given solely to facilitate testing. Previous crop, the crop grown in the season immediately preceding the one in which the seed crop is grown. Previous season, crop season immediately preceding the one in which seed crop is grown. Primary leaf, just a true leaf of the seedling. Primary root, root developing directly from the radicle. Primary sample, sample is a small portion taken from one point in a lot. Processing, processing of seeds refers to all the steps involved in the preparation of harvested seeds for marketing, namely handling, shedding, preconditioning, drying, cleaning, size grading, upgrading, treatment and packaging. In a narrow sense, however, it refers only to preconditioning, cleaning, size grading and upgrading of the seeds. Producer, person who grows or distributes certified seeds in accordance with the procedures and standards of certification agency. Progeny, an offspring plants grown from the seeds produced by parental plant. Provenance, the region where seed was harvested is provenance. Provisional certificate, certificate issued before the completion of a test or tests and which includes a statement that a final certificate will be issued on completion. Pubescent, hairy covering usually of short soft hairs. Pure line, strain in which all individuals have descended by self-fertilization from a single homozygous individual. A pure line is genetically pure. Pure live seeds. Percentage of pure germinating seed determined by multiplying by the pure seed percentage by its own germination percentage and dividing the product by 100. Pure seed. It refers to the seed of the species stated by a sender or found to predominate in the purity test. It includes all botanical varieties and cultivars of that species, even if immature, undersized, shriveled, and diseased or germinated, provided they can be definitely identified as of that species. Purity. Composition by weight of the sample being tested and by inference, the composition of seed lot, the identity of various species of seeds and inert particles constituting the sample. Radicle is the rudimentary root of the embryo. It forms the primary root of young seedling. Ratooning. Cutting of the plant to obtain regrowth. Raw seed. Harvested seed that has not been cleaned and graded. Recessive gene. A gene not expressed in the heterozygous state when a random gene is present at the same locus on the other homologous condition. A gene masked by the effect of another, specifically a gene that effect of which are masked by a dominant allele. Recessive trait. The variation of a specific identifiable gene that results in observable traits only if the dominant trait is not present. Example, wrinkled pea seeds result only in varieties where the dominant smooth seed trait is missing. Registered seed is the progeny of breeder seed, select or foundation seed handled under procedures acceptable to the certifying agency to maintain satisfactory genetic purity and identity. In India, registered seed is not in the seed chain. Relative humidity. The amount of water present in the air at a given temperature in proportion to its maximum water holding capacity at that temperature. Release refers to release of varieties by appropriate authorities like Central Varietal Release Committee or State Varietal Release Committee. Restorer line. An inbred line that when crossed on a male sterile strain causes resulting hybrid to be male fertile, that is R line. Rogue. An off-type plant or undesirable plant. Seed Act. As used in general, Seed Act refers to Indian Seeds Act 1966, an act to regulate the quality of seed offered for sale. Seed Analyst. Appointed under Section 13 of Seeds Act 1966, the person supervising on carrying out the seed analysis work. Seed Blower. Equipment used to separate lightweight material like chaff and empty florets in grasses from the heavier seeds. Seed-borne disease. Disease which is carried either within the seed, that is internally seed-borne, or on the seed, that is externally seed-borne, or both. Seed-borne, that is carried on seeds. Seed coat, the outermost covering of a seed. Seed disinfection. Ridding the seed surfaces of potentially disease-producing organism. Seed disinfection. Seed disinfection. Dipping the seeds in chemicals, soaps and fungicide to kill pathogens. Seed health. Health of seed refers primarily to the presence or absence of disease-causing organisms like fungi, bacteria and viruses, and animal pests like eelworms and insects. Physiological conditions like trace elements deficiency may also be involved here. Seed Inspector. Person appointed under Section 13 on the Seeds Act. Their main function is to take samples from sale points where seeds of notified variety are being sold, get them analyzed if necessary, and initiate prosecution against offenders of the Seeds Act. Seed lot, a uniformly blended quantity of seed designated by a proper number or mark. Seed lot certificate. The certificate may be green certificate or orange. The form of International Seed Analysis Certificate used when the sample is drawn officially from the lot under the authority of a member station, and the procedure followed identifies the certificate with the seed lot. Seed parent. Strain from which seed is harvested in the hybrid seed field, also commonly used to designate the female parent in any cross fertilization. Seed protection. Treating the seed with chemicals which by their presence prevent attack by seed-borne or soil-borne organisms on seed after planting. Seed quality. This is a relative term and means the degree of excellence when compared to an acceptable standard. The seed meeting required standards of purity, germination, and other attributes are referred to as quality seeds. Seed sample certificate, that is blue certificate, which is a form of International Seed Analysis Certificate used when sampling from the lot is not under the responsibility of a member station, that is seed laboratory. Here member station referred to seed laboratory. Seed stalk, the erect stalk on a plant that produces flowers and seeds, applied particularly to root crops and leafy vegetable crops that produce seed after the desired product has fully developed. Seed technology, the science which deals with production, harvesting, processing, testing, packaging, storing and marketing of the seeds. Seed testing, the science of evaluating the planting quality of seed before it is sown. Seedling, the embryo or young plant from the time it emerges from the seed until it is entirely dependent on food manufactured by itself. It consists of an epicotyle, one or two cotyledons, hypocotyles, and root. The single cotyledon is usually held within the seed coat in monocots. Selection, the process of saving seeds from plants that exhibit desirable characteristics and traits. To identify desirable characteristics, plant the same variety in different environmental conditions or plant different varieties in the same environmental conditions. Selfed. It is said that the pistil that is fertilized with pollen from the same plant that bears the pistil also applied to seed resulting from such fertilization. Self-fertilize, to fertilize the ovule of a flower with the pollen of same flower. Self-fertilization is the union of an egg with a sperm from the same flower or from another flower on the same plant or within a clone. Self-incompatibility, ability or inability to set seeds from application of pollen produced on the same plant. Selfing, in plant breeding term, usually meaning natural or artificial self-pollination. Self-pollination, when self-pollination takes place within a single flower, usually before it opens, other flowers or plants are not needed. Self-pollinating flowers are called perfect flowers because they contain the stamens that produce pollen and the pistil that receives the pollen. Isolation distance to prevent cross-pollination is not necessary unless insects are known to invade the flowers before pollination is complete. Seminal, pertaining to seed or germ. Seminal organs are those already developed in the embryo within the seed. Sib, progeny of same parent derived from different gametes. Sibbing, that is nothing but sibmating, cross between plants from the same population. Generally, pollen is collected from several plants from the same population, bulked and crossed onto sister plants of the same population. Single cross parent. The F1 offspring of two inbred parents, which in turn is used as a parent, usually with another line or single cross parent, to produce commercial hybrid seed, as in maize. Substrate. A substance that is acted upon as by an enzyme, also a culture media. Swollen seed. Seeds which have imbibed water and, although healthy in appearance, have not germinated during the prescribed test period. Synthetic or varieties refer to varieties produced by the combination of selected lines or plants and subsequent normal pollination. Test cross. Cross made with a homozygous recessive parent to determine whether an individual is homozygous or heterozygous. Tetraploid. Polyploid plant having 4 sets of identical or similar chromosomes. Two-way cross. A three-way cross is a first-generation hybrid between a single cross and an inbred line. Tiller. Branch arising from the base of a monocot plant, especially in the grass family. Trait. A specific feature traced to an identifiable gene or group of genes. Treatment. Any process, physical or chemical, to which a seed lot is submitted. Uniformity refers to the uniformity of a seed lot, absence of apparently significant variation in a seed lot. Vapor-proof container. Container which does not permit extents or exist of moisture. Variety. A subdivision of a kind identifiable by growth, yield, plant, fruit, seed or other characteristics. It also denotes an assemblage of cultivated individuals which are distinguished by a character, may be morphological, cytological, chemical or others, significant for the purpose of agriculture or horticulture, and which when reproduced may be sexually or asexually or reconstituted retain their distinguishing features. Variety. Term variety denotes an assemblage of cultivated individuals which are distinguished by any character that may be morphological, physiological, chemical or others, significant for the purpose of agriculture, forestry or horticulture, and which when reproduced or reconstituted retain their distinguishing features. Slurry. Suppression of wettable powder of fungicide or insecticide in water. Slurry treater. The machine used for slurry seed treatment. Species. Unit in botanical classification, a subdivision of a genus, a group of closely related individuals descendant from the same stock are species. Spikelet. Separate flower cluster in grasses consisting usually of 2 sterile glumes at the base of one or more florets. Stacking refers to the arrangement of seed bags in a definite manner. Stalk. Stem-like surrounding structure or supporting structure. Stamen. Part of the flower bearing the pollen bearing organ. Each stamen is composited of a stalk and pollen sac. State seed laboratory. In any state seed laboratory established or declared as such under Seed Section 2 of Section 4 of Seeds Act 1966. Sterile. A plant that fails to set seeds even though compatible pollen is applied to the stigma of the flower. Cross-sterile plant fail to set seeds with pollen from other plants. Self-fertile plants produce no seed from their own pollen. Stigma. Opening in the pistil through which the pollen passes to the ovary. Strain. A type within a variety that constantly differ in genetic factors from other strains of the same variety may become a variety. Style. Contains the pollen tube between the stigma and the ovary through which the pollen is carried. Submitted sample. Sample submitted to a seed testing laboratory. It comprises the composite sample reduced as necessary. Vegetative. A descriptive term referring to stem and leaf development in contrast to flower and seed development. Viable or viability means alive, ability to live, grow and develop. A viable seed is one which is capable of germinating under the proper circumstances. Such a viable seed may or may not be readily or immediately germinable. Dormant viable seeds may require lengthy specific treatments before they become immediately germinable. Vigor. It is the sum total of all seed attributes which favor rapid and uniform and stand establishment in the field. Viviferous. Germinating or sprouting from seed or bud while still attached to the parent plants. Example, chow chow. Volunteer plants. Unwanted plant growing from seed that remains in the field from a previous crop. Weed. A plant out of place. Any plant growing where not wanted is weed. Weed seed. Seed bulblet tuber of plants recognized as weed by laws, official regulations or by general usage. Wild type. Naturally occurring non-domesticated crop relatives are wild types. Working sample. A reduced sample taken from the submitted sample in the laboratory on which one of the seed quality test is made. There are three kinds of seed samples. One is a basic seed sample, working and active seed sample. Thank you. I hope you liked my video. Do not forget to subscribe it